In one of Framer's most recent updates, they've made some huge changes to their CMS, including the introduction of dynamic filters. Dynamic filters in Framer allow you to build on the already incredible capabilities of the CMS by introducing the ability to filter through content live on the site. Not only do dynamic CMS filters allow your users to have a more pleasant experience, they also allow new ways for you to build websites and new ways for you to share content. Not only does the content on the web page update live as you're using the filters, you'll also see in the URL it attaches dynamic parameters to the end, meaning that you can share filtered collections with your audience. For example, here with this property website, we have managed to filter this down to just show terrace properties. With this URL, we can now share this, and when someone arrives at the website, they can paste this in and see this specific view. Now, if you're brand new to maybe CMS as a whole, or Framer's CMS in particular, a CMS or content management system is a really easy way to display repeated content. Now, you tend to do this through collections, and within collections, you have specific items. So if we head back to this example, you can see we have a collection of properties, and then each individual property is an item. The reason that we use a CMS is it allows us to arrange, edit, and organize our content effectively. It can also save us a lot of time. You can see here we have an image, a title, a short description, and 2 tags repeated for all of this content. So rather than manually copying and pasting each one of these properties, I can just do this once, connect it to the CMS collection for our properties, and then everything is ready to go. I'll just hop now inside of Framer to show you how this looks. So on the web page, you can see that we can only edit this very first entry. This is effectively our template, right? This repeats out for each individual item in our collection. If we head to the CMS tab at the top, you'll see here in our properties collection, here are all of our individual properties. We can rearrange them, we can click within them to start making edits, and all of this will automatically be updated and reflected across the site. So you can see how this is a much easier way to work with repeated content. So how exactly do dynamic CMS filters fit into this? So before, filtering was achieved in a much more complex way. You may have had to create separate pages for each individual filtered collection. For example, we may have had to create a page for terrace properties and bungalows, and then link to those separately. So we could still have a fairly similar user experience where the user could come onto this page and click a button that would then show them a filtered list of bungalows, for example. But what would actually be happening behind the scenes is it wouldn't be being updated live on the site. It would actually be taking you to a brand new page that's hard filtered to remove any content that isn't related to that tag. With this brand new method with dynamic filters, we're actually updating the content live on the site. If we head back to the example, you'll see that what this means is that our search can actually work live. So rather than changing the page, if I was to say type luxury, you can see that it immediately filters the results based on what I'm typing in there and then. More than that, there are so many different ways that you can use these filters. For example, we've got the search box, which can, in this case, search through all the titles. We have tabs, which allow us to filter through specific collections and their relations. And then we have drop downs that allow us to select specific options. We've also got checkboxes, and there's several more, including date pickers and number inputs. So if you're new to Framer or a CMS in general, you'll probably see this as kind of like a new or additional or perhaps quite cool feature. If you're familiar with the CMS, then you'll probably understand quite how impactful this is, how time-saving this is, and how much this opens up for what's possible with Framer's CMS. So first things first, how do we add dynamic filters to a CMS collection? So for the sake of the tutorial, I've removed all of the filters and we're going to start completely from scratch. So make sure that you select your collection. If you're not sure if you've done this properly, then just have a quick look in the layers panel, and you want to make sure that it's the outermost CMS layer. So if you can see here, we've got property, that's an individual collection item. We want properties, or the outermost wrapper, for your repeated CMS content. So with our CMS collection selected, we're going to come over to the right-hand side, and underneath filters, we're going to click add. You'll then see all of the available properties that we can use for this particular collection. Now, if we head over to the CMS, these are our fields. So you can see that each individual property has a title, a slug, which is the URL that the actual page can be found at, a short description, a main image, and then we have these two here, which are relations, and I'll explain that in just a second. And then we have a toggle for featured or not featured. So these two here are relations, and what that means is they actually refer to an additional collection. So we've got one collection for properties, one for agents, and one for property types. Okay, so you can see in here we've got bungalow, detached, semi-detached, and terraced. If we go back to our properties and have a look at the fields available to us, when we create or edit an existing property, you'll see that this type field here is related to the collection property types, which we just visited over here, which means that when we work with one of these properties, we can actually select one of these available property types from our other collection. So this is a relation between two completely different collections and is a really powerful way to work with Framer's CMS. So coming back to our collection, and with our collection layer, our properties collection layer selected, we're going to come over to filters, click add, and the first one we're going to add is that search field. Now this is going to allow our users live on the site to search through the titles. So let's click, and we've added that, and you can see that it's just appeared here above our collection. Now, while this appears in this position by default, you can actually reposition this wherever you want to. So I'm actually going to cut or Control and X and paste this inside my column on the left-hand side. I'm going to set the width to fill the available space. And now this is appearing on the left-hand side, but it will work exactly the same as it would have done where it popped up by default. So now if we preview the site, I can start searching luxury, and you can see here that this is live CMS dynamic filtering that was, let's be honest, achieved in just a few clicks. Let's go ahead and add a few more. So if we go back to our filters, what we do is we click where it says title, and we can add some more. So just below, we're going to click add, and let's set the next one to be type. So this is our property type, so bungalows or semi-detached, that kind of thing. And you can see here we've got several options, and these are available to us because we used the referenced collection. So I'm going to go with tabs. And again, it's appeared here at the top. I'm going to cut and paste that inside my column on the left-hand side. Let's add a few more. Clicking add. Let's also allow a drop down to select the agent. Move that into our sidebar. Set the width to fill. And lastly, we're going to give them the option to filter by whether or not it's featured. So this is a checkbox. And again, we'll move this over to our sidebar. So if we click preview, you'll now see that our users can explore the entire collection. Start searching to filter live by the title, select a specific type of property, select an agent, and select whether or not they wish to see featured items only. And this brand new feature to Framer's CMS goes way beyond what I've shown you just there. Let's say, for example, the properties all had a numerical value to show you their price. You could create two boxes for a minimum and maximum price range value and start to filter the options based on a user's preferences for minimum and maximum prices. Let's say, for example, we created a list of events for a website that lists out events using the CMS. We could also create a date field so that users could select a date where they're perhaps at the venue and wishing to visit, and then only see the events that are relevant to them. You could create a series of courses or tutorials that users could then filter by their level, say beginner, intermediate, or expert, and the list goes on. And the available input methods do depend on the particular type of data you're working with. For example, the text field is really great for the search bar, and the relations with other CMS collections work really well with those tabs. What's more, you can fully customize the way these look so they can match and fit with your branding. So just like any other input, we can customize the text input as much as we want to. We can change the border, the icon, what it looks like when we've selected it and it's focused, the color, placeholder, the background. It's completely up to you how you wish to do this, and you can really ensure that this fits with your branding. Beyond that, you can also see that these tabs are a component, meaning that we can double click and edit the default and active states. We can add in icons and associate them with a CMS collection. So for example, where here we've got our terraced, semi-detached, detached, and bungalow, each one of these within its respective CMS collection could have a specific icon associated with it that would reflect on these tabs. So you can see how you can then take your branding and bring that into these CMS dynamic filters. So as I briefly touched on before, the way we would have previously achieved this is by creating different pages for each of the filters that we wanted to have. And the hardest part about this was getting them to work in conjunction. So for example, we could have created a page before for terrace properties, semi-detached properties, detached, and for bungalows. We could then have linked to all of these and displayed the CMS collection with a filter applied that wasn't dynamic, that was a hard static filter that just meant that on this particular page, when we visit the bungalow page, you will only see bungalows. The problem was then layering these particular filters. So for example, at the moment, we could visit the bungalows page and then start using the live search feature to filter within bungalows. Or for example, you could say, I wish to select bungalows, but I also wish for that bungalow to be sold by Sunny Homes. So we could actually now start to layer these filters and really allow our users to have a fantastic user experience by finding exactly what they're looking for from our CMS collections. There were also some paid ways to achieve this. So for example, paid plugins, or perhaps hiring a developer to custom code this as a solution. So not only is this something that has saved us some time, it's also brought a new feature to the platform and saved us some money. So a really awesome update from Framer. If any of you are looking to get started with web design, or perhaps you want to explore this brand new feature, I'll leave a link below for you to give Framer a try. And I just wanted to say a very special thank you to Framer and their team for sponsoring this video and allowing me to bring this content to you all. As always, please do like this video and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this new feature. Perhaps there's something you'd be exploring with this that I've not thought of yet. It'd be really great to hear how you're going to be implementing this into either your sites or your client sites. If you're new to the channel, then please do make sure you're subscribed. If you're a fellow creative like me, if you're a founder or a business owner, if you want to know how to grow your brand online or design websites and brands, then please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's now like 100,000 of you apparently, which is absolutely insane for me to say. So thank you all so much for being here and showing me your support. And I will see you all in the next video.